Now on KOAM News at 6, Kansas abortion clinics see a rise in calls from people in Texas seeking the procedure following a new restrictive law there. Plus, why area car dealerships are seeing a rise in prices. And we'll check out the events of the final day of Old Settlers Weekend in Uniontown, Kansas.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Some Texas women are now traveling to surrounding states for abortions, including Kansas. This is KOAM News at 6. Reporter Caroline Elliott has more from an abortion clinic in Wichita that has seen more demand from Texas than ever before.
Abortion clinics in Wichita are already seeing an increase in appointments coming from Texas.
Yesterday, when the bill went into effect, we saw, the phones were pretty much lit up all day. We saw a surge in patients calling from Texas and from other southern states who are being impacted by the hurricane that normally would go to Texas to seek abortion care, but are now, being moved into, other states. So we've seen a huge increase in out-of-state patients calling and coming in for appointments.
Ashley Brink, the director of Trust Women, tells us dozens of women from Texas are now traveling to Kansas for abortion services, just one day after the new law passed.
We started purchasing more medical equipment and medications to have on site. Our building is actually soon to be going under renovations to ensure that we can see more patients.
While the abortion clinics are looking to expand services, abortion opponents are looking to restrict abortion access in Kansas. Now, political analyst Dr. Neil Allen says there's more focus on a new abortion law in Kansas that will be on the ballot in 2022.
So we in Kansas are going to get to vote on whether or not abortion can be a right or not next year in an amendment to the state constitution, which is on the ballot in August. But in Kansas right now, it's unlikely to see anything like the Texas law, at least for another year or so, because the state Supreme Court would likely block a law like the Texas abortion law.
Now, in Kansas, a state Supreme Court ruling from 2019 led to the constitutional amendment voters will decide on in the August 2022 primary. That ruling said the state constitution does protect abortion rights in Kansas. Another beautiful day and a beautiful holiday. Nick Kelly joining us.
It's about time too, Chris, after we had to start this whole holiday weekend out with rain and thunderstorm chances, certainly on Friday and Saturday, but we cleared things out yesterday and it was nothing but clear throughout the course of our Monday. Still looking good for 7th and Rangeline. It's nice to see the all clear on the radar network and on the satellite and radar loop. It's working, but we just had a lot of open blue skies, so not much to track other than the temperatures, which actually started in the upper 50s to near 60 this morning, and we've seen the temperatures warm up quickly. We're in the upper 80s, just some lower 90s on the board right now, but everyone is set for a pretty good evening. But with this dry air still in place, and that light breeze in place as well, we'll see temperatures fall off quickly through the rest of the evening. We're near 90 still in many spots right now, but near 80 by 8 o'clock, down to the lower 70s by midnight. I think we'll drop back to 67, Chris, before we see some rain chances try to come back into the forecast. We'll see how those will play out here in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. Car prices could be high with inventory staying low until 2023. That's what industry analysts say is likely to be the case as producers of semiconductors in several Asian companies are hit with COVID-19. General Motors and Ford have announced temporary plant closures because of the parts shortages. And here in the 4 states, one car dealer anticipates used vehicle prices to go up once vehicles start getting diverted to areas hit by Hurricane Ida.
Say our guy that we buy from is out of Springfield. They're not going to have any. They're going to ship them all to Louisiana. So that's going to drive up the rental. So a lot of dealerships that only buy rental cars is really going to struggle because those cars are going to be very minimum. Prices are going to go out to the roof and they're going to be slimmer than they have been.
According to Black Book, used vehicle prices on average have climbed 30% in the past year. Tonight at 9 and 10, we'll hear more about the issues hitting dealers and buyers in the 4 states. A Missouri mom was hospitalized for COVID-19 and then forced to bring her baby boy into the world 14 weeks early. Doctors weren't sure the mom would make it. Reporter Gabriela Vidal has the story.
COVID will take you down fast and faster than you know.
You can hear it in her voice, how much COVID-19 has taken a toll on Jasmine Ballard's body.
I couldn't eat on my own. I couldn't, use the bathroom on my own. I couldn't do anything.
Jasmine Ballard was nearly 26 weeks pregnant on July 31st when she was admitted to Mercy Hospital and diagnosed with COVID-19.
She was declining really fast, and they couldn't keep her oxygen levels up. They had to keep turning the ventilator up, and then they told me finally it was maxed out and her condition was still declining.
By August 4th, the Glasgow Village mother was induced in a coma.
Organ failure was imminent, so they had to do an emergency C-section to get baby Ricky out.
I woke up not knowing that I didn't have a baby, in my belly.
Ballard's fight still wasn't over as doctors prepared to use an ECMO machine to pump oxygen into her blood and save her life.
I got a call and they said they accidentally nicked the wrong artery in her neck and she had to be rushed into the OR. They repaired the artery, but then they said, well, now that ECMO, that last ditch effort to save her, was off the table.
Her father, Tommy Green, says what happened next felt like a miracle.
So they put her back on the ventilator, and for whatever reason, she started responding. You know, her lungs started to heal. They were able to turn that ventilator down daily, and then within a week, she was off of it.
Ballard and her baby are now both recovering from the traumatic experience.
He still has a feeding tube and he's still on all the oxygen and everything, but he's doing good. He's gaining weight.
After her experience and her 3 other children catching COVID.
I will be getting vaccinated after I get out of the hospital.
I was dead set against, like a lot of people, against the vaccine. Did not want it. There was no one could tell me any long-term effects of this vaccine. But I had to realize, seeing Jasmine go down as quickly as she did, that people are dying from COVID. They're not dying from the vaccine.
Green is now set to get his 2nd dose this weekend and calls others on the fence to get off.
To think about possibly losing your child is something that you can't process.
In August, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention formally recommended all pregnant women get vaccinated because they are at higher risk for severe COVID illness. Coming up, Old Settlers Weekend wraps up today in Uniontown after being canceled last year. And then Area Alpaca Farm hosts an open house to give people an up-close and personal look at the animals. This Labor Day, a long-standing tradition, returns to a southeast Kansas town. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky tells us how the people of Uniontown feel to celebrate after COVID foiled last year's plans and how some residents have deep family ties to the weekend event.
While some throughout the 4 states may choose to travel to other places this Labor Day, Uniontown is using the holiday to celebrate their history.
My great-granddad, he was an old settler along with the other gentlemen, and I think they just wanted to have a get-together. You know, they were farmers, they were on their farms working hard every day, and they just wanted to have a gathering in town, and I would assume that's the way it started.
The town held their 115th annual Old Settlers Picnic. This year's theme was Hats Off for Hometown Pride. On Monday, the Old Settlers Picnic wrapped up the Labor Day weekend with a parade, highlighting area law enforcement, the local high school, as well as various businesses.
Well, they have baby contests in the morning, and then there's a parade, and then there's always a local chicken food thing, and then there's also the high school FFA does a food booth as well.
After this event didn't happen last year due to COVID, the town was ready for this long-standing tradition to make a comeback.
You know, like everybody's ready to get out and do something, so they're wanting to get out and go do things because they've been cooped up.
Many attendees had heritage with strong ties to the parade.
My 5th great-grandmother settled here in 1857.
In fact, I have it at home. I have a picture of my great-great-granddad in like 1909, and the caption, he was with 10 or 12 older gentlemen, and the caption was Old Settlers Day 1909.
Not only did attendees enjoy the Labor Day holiday, they also got to be a part of the town's unique history. In Uniontown, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Other activities at today's Old Settlers Picnic included a car show, the newest addition to the event. Some area kids and their families spent Labor Day getting an up-close look at some fluffy alpacas. The Megajupa Mine Alpaca Farm hosted an open house where families could come and pet and feed the animals and take selfies with them. People also had the chance to learn about the process of making products out of alpaca fleece and how to take care of them, including what they like to eat.
He like missing hay. He like hay.
I actually saw their post on Facebook, and we had never been here, and I have been wanting to come forever, and we finally had a chance to come. Yeah.
I think she's ready to take care of an alpaca. The farm is located at 7548 East 20th Street in Joplin. A little later, as we approach the 20th anniversary of 9/11, we'll hear one of the many stories of survival from that tragic day.
But first, we'll break down how long these nice temperatures will last and if any rain wants to sneak back in. Forecast up next. The holiday weekend may not have been off to the best start, but we've made up for it with a pretty good Sunday, and not to mention pretty good temperatures for today. In fact, after we got rid of our thunderstorm chances on Saturday, we saw temperatures only make it into the mid-80s. That felt a lot better than the 90s we had to start the weekend out. But after dropping back near 60 and some even in the upper 50s this morning, all this dry air in place led us to the chilly start this morning, but then catapulted us to some upper 80s and lower 90s. But again, lower humidity still made it pretty good for any outdoor plans today. And on top of that, the Skywatch Storm Tracker, it's working, but it didn't have anything to track. So it's nice to see not only a clear scan from the satellite and radar composite, but also from the radar network. This was a really great way to wrap up the holiday weekend. But from here on out, some interesting changes I'm keeping an eye on. A chance for storm chances, if I can say that correctly, Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. But in between it all, we'll have highs briefly back in the lower 90s on Tuesday before a little dip back into the mid-80s during the middle of the week. We'll spell it all out for you as we continue along, but let's head back outside because this is a pretty nice looking picture here. Open blue skies over Joplin, sitting at 90 degrees, but the dew point is low enough that we actually technically have a wind chill index. It feels only a hair cooler, feels like 89 degrees, but again, all because of that dry humidity in place. Everyone's in the upper 80s to lower 90s right now, and temperatures will continue to drop off, especially once we get past sunset. We'll be in the 70s already by 10 o'clock, and I think we'll drop back to 67 for overnight lows. So again, not a lot happening here. So it's a great way to wrap up this holiday weekend as our area of high pressure is now over the Boot Heel of Missouri, and in fact, you can argue working over western parts of Kentucky and Tennessee. Our next cold front, though, ready to come in from the northern plains, and with it, there is a wave upstairs at the jet stream level, but will it amount to anything as these two systems come into play for tomorrow? Let's break it down for you now on the Future Track forecast. Nothing to worry about for this evening, though. We'll keep skies clear for the rest of the evening. Maybe a little high cloud cover overnight, but it still won't stop overnight lows from dropping back this time into the middle to upper 60s. We'll be already back into the mid-80s by lunchtime, and before that front rolls in, you can see how highs push back into the lower 90s before the front tries to tap into the heat and some extra moisture to try to spark off a few isolated storms at least by late afternoon. So before any rain can get going, we'll go 67 in the morning, 86 by noon, afternoon highs around 91. Tuesday evening's looking like the better time frame for any isolated to widely scattered storms as the front presses through. Not too concerned about a severe threat, but with enough heat in play, can't rule out some strong storms with some heavy rainfall, maybe some minor wind gusts as well. And then behind that front, I think Future Track is overdoing temperatures here. I think we'll drop back into the lower 60s come Wednesday morning, but it's right on with temperatures with what I'm thinking. We'll top out around 82. 83 degrees for our Wednesday with mostly sunny skies back in play. We'll drop to 59 Thursday morning before we top out at 86. Nice temperatures for those 2 days, Chris, before we head back into the 90s for this coming weekend. A few weak waves could bring in some minor rain chances Friday morning and Sunday morning, but let's keep weekend plans, at least for next weekend, open since I think we'll be mainly dry.
And it's looking pretty good for this week. I mean, things aren't too bad at all.
Yeah, with the lower humidity, it's going to be a treat.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. Well, still ahead, a miraculous story of survival.
20 years ago, Matt Komorowski and his fellow firefighters saved a woman from the World Trade Center as it collapsed around them. I'm Michael George with a powerful story of heroism and survival from 9/11.
Nick Kelly.
Right thing.
The 20th anniversary of the September 11th attack is Saturday. In one of the most powerful stories of heroism that day, a group of firefighters somehow survived inside the collapsed World Trade Center for 4 hours and managed to save a woman's life. Reporter Michael George sat down with one of those firefighters to look back at what happened that morning.
Retired FDNY Lieutenant Matt Komorowski's memories of September 11th are always close.
This was my helmet on the day of 9/11.
Why is it important for you to have this here in your home?
It reminds me of the firemen that we lost that day. It reminds me of all the lives we lost that day.
20 years ago, he and the other members of Ladder Company 6 went into the World Trade Center's North Tower searching for survivors, trying to climb more than 90 flights of stairs as debris fell around them.
My captain turned to us and said, "Firemen will die today." And that was a very poignant moment for all of us.
When the South Tower collapsed, Ladder Company 6 got the order to evacuate. That's when they spotted Josephine Harris, who needed help getting down the stairs.
We were taking her down, and at about the 8th floor, our building came down.
The North Tower collapsed on top of them.
I immediately screamed to the guys in front of us to move.
What happened next almost defies explanation. The entire building around them was destroyed, but Stairwell B, the spot where they were assisting Josephine, remained standing.
Where she stopped turned out to be the spot we needed to be.
They spent 4 hours trapped in the rubble, but all 6 men on the crew and Josephine made it out alive.
There were so many other firemen that day that were doing exactly what we were doing. Why we survived, we have no idea.
Josephine, who worked as a bookkeeper for the Port Authority, stayed close with Matt and the other firefighters who saved her.
We had a special bond with her. She was our guardian angel. If she had continued down to the lobby and then our building came down, we wouldn't be around.
In 2011, Ladder Company 6 served as pallbearers when Josephine passed away, carrying her one last time. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
We'll be right back. We take time now to honor a local member of the armed forces. Kendall Hoffman joined the U.S. Army in 2005. The Eve, Missouri native has been stationed in Iraq, and we salute Sergeant Kendall Hoffman, a four-state hero. Here's a look at what's coming up on the KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Thank you, Chris, and here's a look at what's coming up in your KOAM News at 9. That's on our sister station, Fox 14. You'll learn about a sizable increase in COVID-19 cases that have health experts concerned. Plus, we will check in with President Biden and see how he is spending his Labor Day. And you're going to meet a Humboldt penguin who lost his way down in Chile and was taken care of by the locals, and now he's headed back to the wild. We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Mike, thanks. A one-of-a-kind sculpture called the Light of Appreciation is shining down on Colorado's healthcare workers. An enterprising and artistic Boulder County public health worker created this beautiful chandelier out of used Moderna vaccine bottles. Laura Weiss, the nurse behind the masterpiece, wanted to pay tribute to all those who have helped keep people alive. Weiss hopes the light brings hope for a brighter future without COVID-19. Certainly very creative.
Yeah, if you didn't say what the chandelier was made of, I would have thought that was just a normal looking chandelier.
It was very beautiful work of art, and same can be said about the forecast this week.
Yeah, we definitely had a beautiful day. We'll repeat it for the most part tomorrow. Mild start in the morning with highs back near 91, but a quick front on the way. Could bring some isolated storms our way. Late tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night, we'll have a fresh look at that and the rest of the forecast again tonight at 9 and 10, Chris.
All right, Nick, thank you. And as Nick said, we'll see you back here at 10. Thanks for making us part of your night.
Salon service is provided by the Wild Side.